And now we want to go into an interesting conversation where we're going to discuss about the B2B economic trends, all right? The e-commerce trends when it comes to B2B. I'm confident that many of you have seen that title and they're wondering, what are the current trends when it comes to e-commerce, especially when it comes to business? And we want to get into that discussion, and to guide us through this, he is the CCO at Jumia Kenya. He is seasoned and he is going to carry the conversation for us here. This is none other than Kenneth Oyola. Welcome, Kenneth. We're glad to have you here, and over to you as you break down this particular conversation. Asante and welcome.
Thank you very much. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. Can you confirm you can hear me clearly, and then I'm going to take it away from here.
Yes, we can
Fantastic.
hear you. Thank you very much.
Good, great stuff. Yeah, thanks for having me today. I'm dialing in from Jumia offices in Kaka House in Westlands. Cloudy weather out here. I've got a few minutes kind of just to break down what are some of the things that we're seeing coming through in 2022 and what we need to look out for. They say 7 is the number of perfection. I'm going to walk you through about 7 things that we see sitting on the front edge of what we see happening in e-commerce. I think the first one, when you think about it, is if we look at the number of people that we have online today on our platform and on multiple platforms, Jumia being present in 11 markets across Africa. The one big thing that we are seeing, and perhaps you would have noticed, is how AI is coming on to play and coming on to support consumers in making their decision. One of the things today you will see, you might be 2 different consumers having a phone because that's the main source of getting online, but the things that you will see from what the next person is going to see are totally different ones. Why is that so? Because with AI, we are able to have algorithms that are really smart, that can be able to almost like anticipate what you're looking for. So basis your search history, what you'll be seeing in terms of ads being served to you, what you'd be seeing as far as then the categories would be very, very different. And that is driven by the AI. And we're starting to see a lot more of that now going forward. So I think that for me is really exciting. So it's very contextual, helping you to really zone in on what you're looking for, both as a B2B consumer and also then as a B2C consumer. I think the next thing that the second piece that we see of the things that are evolving and to look forward to in 2022 is having been in FMCG, 50% plus of offtake happens in Nairobi in some categories of index like beauty categories. One of the things that we are seeing that is big and potentially growing is tier 2 towns and people who live in tier 2 towns, and part of this is driven by the decentralization that came with the county governments, whereby it's not just a Nairobi consumer who wants it now, but you've got a consumer sitting in a tier 2, tier 3 town, would be in Nyeri, would be in Embu, wanting it now. And as a result, you're seeing the different players either trying to make sure that they're able to get services closer to the people, or the turnaround time, for example, the line haul of logistics going out more often. Before it might have been 2 days, now it's every day, getting out closer to the consumer. So I think for me, that is something that's really good. Depends on, irrespective of the consumer that you are able to get what you want coming to you faster, because this is evolving. So the likelihood for us is to be able to see a couple of players moving out into these towns, and then on the other side also local vendors being able to fulfill the demand really locally. The next thing related to that is it's also not just about out of town, but if you look at also Nairobi neighborhoods, talking to any aggregator or food aggregator like Jumia or Uber Eats, they will tell you the hotspots of food delivery is Kilimani, Kileleshwa, Westlands. One of the things that I think is happening and coming really close, and this is good news also for vendors in some of these neighborhoods, is you'll find new neighborhoods coming online. So the new neighborhoods that will be coming online, like Eastland. So all of a sudden, you're finding quite a big nexus of consumers within these areas, and also vendors and businesses within these areas being able to get more orders that are coming through, because all of a sudden everybody has jumped onto the bandwagon and they're ordering more, and this is good news all around for everybody. 2021 was also not so great for a couple of categories that depended on chipsets. Here I'm talking about the TV category. As a result of COVID, the supply chains were disrupted. Freight costs went up because you cannot fly in TVs into a country, and then the scarcity of chipsets. So we saw such a contraction on some categories like TVs, computing, and appliances. Here I'm talking about TVs. One of the things that we are hoping is going to happen in 2022, and we see it, and I'll explain to you in a minute. What I see is you're able to see the searches that are coming online by day, by the minute, by the hour, by the week, and there's quite a nexus in terms of the searches that is being raised around about TVs. Of course, with more availability, the one thing that we are seeing in the past, a 32-inch used to be the bull's eye of the TV that people are looking for. But because also when the economy is opening up and the supply chains are straightening out, we are seeing more of 32-inch moving aside and 43-inch TVs starting to become the mainstream that people are really looking out for. And not just 43-inch, but it's also the smart TVs. Now, we'll have another session whereby we're talking about what is the difference between a digital TV and a smart TV, but there's a lot more of consumers who are specifically asking they want smart TVs. Of course, what is happening in the background is also an opening of the space and data becoming more affordable, Wi-Fi becoming more affordable and reaching more neighborhoods. So this is an interesting one. So in time for the World Cup, if you're waiting to buy, I think this is a good time, the World Cup coming up later, and being able to watch it on an even bigger screen, and with the whole economy opening up and the supply chain straightening out, that's also another very interesting one. The fourth piece that I wanted to talk about is IoT. Now, what are we seeing? In the last couple of months, a smart band, I remember selling a smart band during Black Friday last year at a price as low as 1,500. There's a smart band connected to your phone, is able to read your blood pressure, is able to read quite a number of things, and that is very exciting. So we are seeing a lot more people looking for this. Everybody wanting to become healthy. Everybody wants to get connected such that you don't need to look at your phone. It is in your pocket. You get a beep or a vibration on your armband because you know that you got a call, you got an SMS, you got a WhatsApp, and quite a number of players are playing within this space, and that is quite exciting. The other piece that we are also seeing that is also quite exciting has been the growth of, on one side is Google Nest. Xiaomi is playing a really big play, and then surprise, surprise, we're getting quite a number of hits on our platform, and people are looking for Alexa, which is the smart speaker, which is able to connect you to multiple other things. So I think with the prices even coming down, we are about to see a big acceleration of this happening in multiple areas on multiple consumer groups around the country. So that's one really exciting one to really look out for. I think the prices are going to become further down as they race to the bottom of who owns the home, who owns the new ecosystem that connects everything together. And for example, Amazon is also making a play for your car, whereby you're able to connect everything from your car and everywhere else. Then, of course, one that is new, we've moved on to from bulbs into LED bulbs and now into smart bulbs. We're starting to see that starting to get to the right place. And the beauty about smart bulbs, you're able to save your electricity, you're able to turn it off remotely, on and off, and all of this from your smartphone. And in a minute, I'm going to talk about what we are seeing happening in the phones category. Of course, fifth and one of the most important categories, the phone has become a central tool of communication. Here also, we've seen the chipset pressure, which was felt in 2021 with a lot of shortage now easing up. And as a result of that, we are seeing the play between the big boys, which would be the Xiaomis, it would be the Nokias of this world, it would be the Samsungs of this world, and the Transsion Group, which owns Tecno and Infinix. I think one which has been a really strong play, we've seen what Xiaomi has done in the Asia region, coming a really strong number 2 in some markets and a strong number 1 in multiple other markets. I think this has been an exciting one, and we are waiting to see. And linked to this, in the past, what I call 1+32, meaning RAM on a phone, has become the norm now. That has been swept aside, and if you look at what consumers are looking for, the minimum and basic entry is at 2+32, meaning you got 2 GB of ROM and 32 GB of RAM, which gives a lot more space to be able to save stuff. So that is becoming the norm. Not only is it becoming the norm, but the prices of these are breaching and crossing the 10,000 Kenya shillings mark. So consumers are in for some really good surprises, as they are the winners when the big boys come to play. The OEMs that I've mentioned before come to play within this category. Of course, then the most exciting one then also within this space is looking at the typical 4 plus 128 now starting to breach the $130 mark and coming even more affordable. So consumers are spoiled for choices in the run up to February when the typical Mobile World Congress would happen, and then many manufacturers release their phones. Be on the lookout for that, because that is going to become very, very exciting. Two more things that I want to speak about before I pause and if at all, and have a bit of a conversation is on appliance category. If you think about 2021 was the year of the air fryer. Many of you, including myself, bought the air fryer. And maybe because we thought it was a fad, I think there's this whole piece about healthy living, and the air fryer topped up the whole appliance category of what was coming to the market. I think one of the things that we're expecting to see, especially since the oil prices, if you've looked at the prices of cooking oil, have gone up by up to 30%. And I was having a chat with a couple of my friends on Twitter about what do we do about the prices of cooking oil. And I think the conversation was, okay, it's time to pull out our air fryers. I think we're about to see a lot more of appliances coming on in the healthy living space. There's the whole pressure cooker, which is not the manual one, but the electric pressure cooker that's coming. So you're able to save on cost if at all you want to be able to cook something quickly in a pressure cooker. We are seeing so many hits of this coming on, and multiple players also coming on in market as far as original equipment manufacturers in this space. One key area of concern, which is not a trend that is going to grow, is today you can be able to find an electric kettle for 500 bob. You can be able to find an iron box for 500 bob. The flip side of that is that there's also quite a lot of recycling, such that when it doesn't work, you dump it, you go and buy the next 500 bob one. I think one of the challenges that multiple manufacturers that I've already started conversations with as Jumia is to think about how then do we take care of the whole electric waste, and I'm anticipating to see that becoming a big topic. Even as electronics become more affordable and disposable, we need to be able to think about our responsibility, both as consumers and also then as businesses, to take care of the electronic waste so that we've got one world, we have nowhere else to move to. Last but not least, when you think about some of the new categories that are coming online in the e-commerce space, I think we have seen, surprise, some really odd categories. All of us, many of us Kenyans, when you're on leave, what's the next thing you want to do? You want to be able to go and do mjengo. You're doing a construction here or there or up country. We're seeing such a demand that is rising in the building category, which is starting to really grow, and consumers are trying to find out, instead of going to look for this and that particular item at the hardware, why can I be able to get it online? And conversations are going on about how then do some of the players within this category start to get online. The other category, which is also a very interesting one that is starting to get online, and this might not mean the death of Kirinyaga Road, Grogon, or Bunyala Road, where you find all of these spare shops, but we are seeing a real growth in the motor accessories parts, whereby people, instead of wanting to spend time or spend a couple of hours going to these areas, are trying to look online, when can we be able to get there? So you will see some very interesting developments on players like the Toyotas of this world, the BMWs of this world, the Shells of this world coming online, such that you don't need to go to a forecourt to be able to buy your parts for service, but you can be able to order them online. They're delivered to you, and then you're able to take that on. Perhaps the biggest, and this is a good place to pose this conversation, has been in the wholesale. The traditional Kenyan market, for those of the big manufacturers who've tried to drive a distributor model, you'll still realize that the wholesale market still has a really strong stronghold onto the general trade market, meaning this is sales that goes through kiosks, dukas, and open markets. We've seen a really strong play of wholesale coming online, and you start seeing with players like Carrefour being able to stock bulk packs, so that instead of being able to buy one packet of unga, you're able to buy a bale, and this is targeted at wholesale buyers, kiosk buyers. We've seen brands like Twiga playing a strong play here, Jumia also playing a strong play here. So I think this is one of the things that to look out for will revolutionize the market, which has been really traditional for the longest time. time whereby you go to a town like Sabasaba, you'll find wholesalers who've been running the business for the last 50 years, never changed anything, still running the manual process. We've also seen players like Gilani's opening up their wholesale and making it online such that you do not need to go physically as a small vendor or a medium-sized vendor. You're able to go online and find the best price, cutting out the middleman and being able to pass on the value to the consumer. These are some of the big things, especially from a B2B, that we are seeing evolving in the market and to look out for. And I think it's going to be an exciting 2022, looking out ahead as things ease up, as more economies open up, and as we start getting back to the norm, which will not be the norm where we were in 2019, but a new norm at a higher level whereby we're seeing the penetration of e-commerce starting to age and get towards the 3% mark, hopefully then by the end of this year. I wanted to pause here, and I hope that the insights and the thoughts that I gave you based on the frontline seat that I see data from were really useful in helping to shape and thinking about the things that are going to become big in 2022.